All right, what's up, Gabe? We're here today with Renz Craft from the Midwest. He's based out of Minnesota. We're stoked to have you on today, man.
Thank you.
Wanted to dive
Glad to be
in
here.
to a little bit of your background and your whole story. I know it hasn't been a ton of years on the torch, you know, as many as some of the other people that we interviewed. So I figured maybe we could start a little bit with your background, where you grew up, and some of your influences that got you to this pursuit in life.
I'm from Minneapolis. I grew up here my whole life, not too far away. And I've been into just like art my whole life, needed to create something. And I worked with a variety of mediums, you know, but it can be tricky to sell that shit and like make a living off of it. And I put in quite a bit of effort, you know, similar to what I put into class in the beginning.
What'd you start with?
Just, so I did woodworking.
Nice.
Dude, we had my family has like a cabin up in Canada, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and we have like a good bit of property, and there's like no beer around, and I would like cut down trees, and do like rustic furniture and shit, you know, like put tenons on them and put them together and sell them at the flea market, that sort of shit.
How old were you?
That was only doable. I was probably like 10 to 15 in there.
Nice.
Pretty young. Not a lot of it was great because obviously there wasn't like funds there.
You're just doing the damn thing. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm in the woods. What better?
Yeah, exactly. Trying to hustle some furniture.
Why not?
So like obviously like you can't, you know, like I couldn't make a living off of it. It was just kind of a hobby at the cabin. And then ceramics was definitely I spent the majority of my time in ceramics growing up. And even tried to do, like, towards the end, I did pipes and stuff. But nothing turned around like that.
Was there any guidance from your family? Like, was your dad, or I don't know if you have any siblings, were they interested in the same artistic stuff that you were, or were you just kind of off on your own?
Well, so, like, it all worked out really well. My parents, so I have, like, an older brother. And he got into like smoking pot prior to me by
Perfect.
a few years, and yeah, exactly. I mean, like it hit him hard, you know. He was like fucking not doing so hot in school, and so my parents, like, I didn't know any of this shit either, and my parents were like, "Gabe, no fucking pot. Like, we're gonna like." I loved snowboarding at the time, and they were like, "No more snowboard. Like, if you fucking are smoking pot." And so I started making like these pipes and ceramics, you know, and like I got caught at school a few times. And they like called home, you know, and shit. And like my parents like started drug testing me, and I wasn't smoking pot because like I really liked snowboarding. I didn't want that to get taken care of, but I was like selling pipes to all the homies. And my parents are like both artists. Like my dad's like a jazz guitarist, and my mom is like a creative writer.
Cool.
So they weren't like opposed to trying to like do my own thing, you know, and make it with the alternative shit, but they were like super anti-pot at the time, is what I was getting from it. So it fueled it for a long time. Turns out they don't give a fuck. I was just like 13, you know. Like,
So funny.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, whatever. Make whatever you want, sell whatever you want, as long as you're doing what makes you happy. So you were making these ceramic pipes back in the day. Did you put a carb into them? Were they functional, or would you smoke out of it now?
Yeah, did you save any of them?
I had some. Yeah, dude, I have them all around. Yeah, dude, some of them were functional. They were really fun. The hardest part was, like, the shit shrinks so much, so, like, doing a fitted joint was kind of impossible.
Yeah.
But, like, I was always doing it kind of low-key because, like, my teachers didn't like it. Towards the end, I was doing, like, teapots, and they looked like a teapot, and they could be, like, a tea or a pot. You know, like, I had, like, a joint, like, an 18-mil joint coming out, and they had, like, a salt pipe perk like built in, so it looked like a little spout, you know, but it ran all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, awesome. The undercover bongs, man.
Exactly. I have a bunch of those, and some of them are like fly as fuck, honestly.
That's genius, though. I wish we had thought about that. I took a ton of ceramics classes in high school, and dudes were constantly getting canceled for trying to put stuff in the kiln. The teacher's like, "You're definitely trying to smoke out of this."
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had one around here. I mean, they were super sick. I thought I did.
No stress, bro.
But
So
everything's always moving around.
when did you start smoking pot then?
Shit, I had to be like, it was like maybe the end of high school, like senior year or something. I don't honestly remember quite when.
At that point, were you making shit that you could smoke out of then? You're like, all right, now I'm into this a little bit. Like, let me make something for myself.
Making, like,
Perfecting the function.
Rigs and shit. I came from like, you know, like you want to fucking drill a hole in a bottle. I was like making little pipes out of sticks and shit.
Those were the good days, man.
Yeah, I was doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So I'm sure I smoked out of a decent amount of my pipes. I honestly, that's like when weed was getting me really high. So I don't like remember all of that.
Of course, clearly, bro. It's the fun. You know? It's the fun early times. Those are the best.
Exactly. Like that's just what you did. Like you went out and got high, and that was it.
That's it. Nothing mattered on the how. Exactly.
Yeah.
So when was that crossover then from making clay pipes into Boro pipes?
What I always wanted to do, Boro. Well, so I mean, like I think one of the earliest things was like seeing Degenerate Art. Obviously, that was like a fucking pretty legendary documentary type shit. And I showed it to my parents, and I was like, "This is so fucking cool."
What did they think?
And they were a little bit about it, and then like I discovered like this is like also I was like way too young, so like they were like, "Oh, the marijuana," but then they were like, "These pieces are sick." But I like also I showed them some of the cats on Instagram who were like who had a presence just for owning the pipes. Like they didn't even make them, and I was like, these kids are like fucking look at this, like 20,000 followers. I think like some like it was like Cosmos 420, you know, it was like 10 years ago.
Sick.
Not 10, but it was a while back when he was like a big one up there.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit! Like they're just smoking them. So like obviously, if you can make them, like you're going somewhere.
Yeah, there's obviously a market there in your mind.
So, yeah, but glass blowing, it just like takes like startup funds are higher than almost any other medium, except for maybe like you know like fucking. Yeah, I don't even know. I was gonna say like rock work, carving, you know, jewelry type shit is also pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes the pool a hell of a lot smaller.
Yeah. And who can start up? So how'd you start up?
I mean, I made a lot of my first shit. Like I fucking made my first kiln.
No shit. How'd you learn how?
I worked at like a hardware growing up. I always loved building shit. I made like a half pipe in my backyard when I was like 10, you know, like there's like pictures of me. It was all sorts of fun shit. I was making like potato cannons and all sort of.
That's what I was telling. I was telling CJ that the other day. I was like, man, have you ever been on instructables.com? I'm like, we used to rock that website back in the day. We'd be building the craziest shit.
Yeah, that's cool though. It sounds like, you know, you've always just been fiddling with something, and obviously that still stays true to the things that you've been doing in Boro as well. You know, you've been really stretching the medium, I think, and pushing some of the boundaries from what these guys even thought was possible with some of the things you're doing. So that's exciting. So back it up a little bit. You just started. You built your own studio. Then what? You know, how did you then kind of figure out how to work this glass?
I was living at my dad's.
Yep.
I was living at my dad's, so I set up like a studio in his garage.
He was cool with
it.
It
was all self-taught. Honestly, it's really hard to go out, you know, and be like shitty at something. And I'm like I'm not a social person in the first place. So I kind of just like did it in my dad's garage, watched YouTube. I'm a very like look it up on fucking YouTube, learn how to do it type shit. And then when I got like the basics down, I started like Instagram Live was honestly like the biggest thing, and people are like, who did you learn from? And I was like, dude, all these cats. Gonzo, like Blake Living, I don't even know his last name, like Living Off or Living, I don't know.
Gonzo.
Gonzo 1 or whatever. Yeah, he used to go live all the time and would share his entire process, like coiling up a pot, you know, blowing it into a neck, and then you're always like blowing up, you know, rather than like pulling down, which teaches you like a lot, like basically everything you need to know, you know, if you're condensing to reach your shapes.
Did you find that like the crossover from ceramics and some of the woodworking stuff? Were you working on like a wood lathe back then, or were you just using other
it was
tools?
like all by hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but ceramics has a lot of similarities. Like other than the fact that you can't touch it, it's
You found like
similar.
the dexterity.
Like, and you have a very limited time. Yeah, and just like what a glass lathe is, and like how you condense things, and like air is a little tricky because obviously you'd just be like touching it on the inside. But it's incredibly similar.
So you watched a lot of this. You watched a lot of the Instagram stuff to get a baseline. Did you have aspirations to blow up on Instagram? Like, was that your goal? Like, I want to be this big artist that has all these followers, is selling all these pipes, or did you kind of want to be in the background? Hey, let me just make my money, do my craft, and tinker with this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, I don't really give a fuck about like followers and that shit, and like the viral stuff, you know, like, you know, like I've been thinking about it, and I was like, you know how easy it'd be to like make like some fucking viral video about like the fucking assembly of one of these videos, you know, super catchy and all that, and I was like, I don't really care. I don't want to do that. It's always just been like, I knew I wanted to become known enough to make it easy to sell my work, which like still. The amount of collectors I have, you know, it'll continue growing over time. And that's something I'm like looking forward to, but I don't need like excess eyes. I've always been pretty opposed to like tags and stuff. Like even like my own name on there. I'm like, just like, if you know, you'll find my page. Somebody will tell you and you'll search me out, which is, just do your thing, you know?
You've definitely established like a recognizable design in the functional realm, and then even your millie work nowadays, like I could pick it out of a lineup, which is so awesome to see.
Thank you. Yeah, you gotta have both. I mean, to push it, I guess. Not to push it, but like for the scene to really notice you, because if you can't put it on a piece that is fun to smoke, it's not going to get seen by nearly as many people.
It seems like your mentality the whole time has been like, how do I take this like a layer deeper? Like, how do I, work this out even harder than, just ending on stage 2 or stage 3? Like, you're taking it to like stage 8 of working some of these pieces, which is sick. That you have like that attention to detail and the drive to like keep working things all the way down.
So when did you start to find your lane? Obviously, you built this studio. You were getting some momentum going. When did you start to say, you know what, I need my own style of pipe? And when did the yo-yo start to come about?
Oh, I was always fucking making wild pieces and shit. I mean, if you scroll down on Instagram, there's some ones that I sold for too cheap that I kind of wish I had back. That were super fun.
I'm sure.
I remember.
Everyone stays winning, though. That's good.
I wish I had them in my collection.
It's good to let those early collectors win.
I'm glad I sold them.
Yeah, everyone needs to win. 100%. 100%.
But the yo-yo that was just like that was one on the back burner for a while, So it was like a concept. I just like, it was a concept that came from a donut.
Yeah, I got
and it's right funny. It like evolved so much, as I out there it is. There's a nice one.
It's a beautiful one. Nice one. Yeah, he's got a super worked one.
That's a favorite of mine for sure.
So let's talk on the yo-yo a little bit, because in the beginning you had multiple designs. I remember there was like a front drain, there was a back drain, there was 2 drains, 1 drain. How did you kind of dial it in, and what was your thoughts going through it?
I mean, it's all about like function at that point. So I'd just smoke them a whole bunch, and certain things. That's like what evolved the design in the first place. Like obviously it looked nothing like a yo-yo in the beginning, and changed every time. I mean, I would like try and smoke it and be like, something needs to change here, and then like step by step in my free time, which is not that much. That's why it's got to be like a back burner project.
Right.
Yeah.
exactly. Because like most of the time you gotta do shit, but if you, it just like slowly came along. It was like 2 years of prototypes, and then even with the ones that functioned well, it's weird because there's like my preference and then like the people's preference.
Streets.
So, yeah, exactly. So I did a couple of like the back drains with like the passive drain was super cool.
Yeah.
But I think it worked the best in the 2 prototypes that I made for myself. No offense to the
What's the
people that
passage
have
drain?
the early ones.
No, what is that passage drain?
It's a third. What is it?
Yeah.
Or what on the piece, or like what does it do?
It's 2 back drains, and or there's one in the middle, right?
Well, so there's like, there's like a where the yo-yo connects to the base out the back. I had one I did them both with 1 drain that went to the bottom and with 2, and it just like it relieves. It only functions right in the beginning. It's like very much how there's like water flow up drains right as you pull on them. It starts going up the drains before it starts going down, and it was like to resolve that, like just like something that the water another place for the water to go instead of up the, when there's like a sudden amount of
pressure
vacuum,
to pull the water up. Yep.
It's like an equalizer.
Yeah. And they were super cool because they worked, but I think they worked the best on the 2 clear prototypes that I made. And like funny because they're all like a little gizly, but they work really well. And
it's
then
the history.
I made, like, 2 or 3 colored ones, and none of them like just dumped like the prototypes. So I switched to just the back drain, and then I realized that because of the flow of the water, the neck on the other side would function drastically better.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys love flooding these pieces too with like as much water as they can possibly. And the newer design that you settled on holds a little bit more water than that initial one, from what I remember. But you kept one of those in house though, right? You gave it to your girlfriend?
The prototypes? I mean, they're kind of just on like forever loan type shit.
They're on rotation.
Tell that guy to send it around, man.
It's hers for now.
Send it on a trip to DC, a little traveler.
Well, dude, where'd the traveler go? I don't know who has that.
I'm going to hunt it down.
If has it or not.
Maybe the Jaded Boys.
I just the other day.
So as these things were...
It's easy, but...
As these things were the back burner, I was going to say, what's the front burner at the time, Gabe? What were you working on while you were developing these yo-yos?
Oh, I mean, the front burner is like... You got like 15 things on the stove.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
You're constantly stirring them, So like, there's nothing that forever stays on the front burner. It's like just like the things here and there that'll make money, cool marbles, stuff that like just everything progresses slowly. And as things like near the end of progression, they could be like they're on the front burner if I need funds, And then the things that have a long ways to go on them, just those are in the back of the burner. Because no substantial money is being made. Like even the cups is like the Sprite cups were.
Got one of those here too.
I'm not making what I make if I spend my time on Bora, like long term. Those were hard work, but they're fun. Like I'd like those. I get like Sprites get like three days to a week every month or two.
Which
that's
is
like
awesome.
The furthest back burner. So that's why like that shit's pushed out the longest. Like I had said like a show in about a year, and I'm like it could be pushed out 2 years.
I think it's genius.
There's no rush.
What was your idea with
awesome.
the Sprite?
Yeah, what motivated you to start putting that out? Were you just like fucking around, and then it kind of became a thing where you could make a little bit of income off it?
Doing it.
Who would you credit?
ET, I think does really really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's ET, right? ET Glass?
Yeah, ET Glass is a guy.
Yep. With bottles?
Yep.
Yeah, he does he's doing like vacuum sealed ones and shit. But I saw like locally, I saw Congruent, Chris busting out some like Topo Chico ones.
Sick.
Yeah. It's a little
but
dragons
everybody
and
does
stuff.
them like the other way around, they just cut the top off of one and then they seal a neck to the bottom. So it was fun to try and like do it in a different way, And the label, well, I wanted to try and keep the label, and the label is not on that side.
And that's something that you were telling us
labels,
before we even started, is that you actually look for the gizzled labels, and those are the ones that come out best.
Yeah, I mean, especially, well, like with the Coke bottles, those are the ones the new Coke bottle labels just burn off, but like the older labels or the bottles that are like refillable, returnable. Those stay on. They actually like look better when you hit them with the flame a little bit.
It's just shocking the dexterity of the glass that you're able to like maintain all these little nipples that are in the original like Sprite bottle, and the fact that the label or just the glass in general, because this is like more of a soft glass then, right? I'm not 100% certain.
Like it's like some type of soda lime. It's usually a little bit stiffer than like 96 or whatever they use, the 100 and something, 2 or 3. I don't know what COEs there exactly. It's a little bit stiffer than that, but yeah, it's a super fun idea. I mean, honestly, the dimples on that aren't even like, they're not modified. Yeah. But you can even like pull them down a little bit and they stay and whatnot, which is pretty cool.
So going back a little bit, you developed the yo-yo design. You had it in a spot where you felt comfortable. When did you start getting approached by stores? When did you really find like your name was a little bit starting to turn? Or maybe if it wasn't stores, was it collectors that were giving you some buzz?
I mean, there were like a few stores here and there. It was probably like mostly direct in the very beginning.
And this whole timeline is only in the past like 6 or 7 years, right?
Yep. Yeah, 6 years now.
Which is like crazy.
I mean, it really changed with the yo-yo. That's what I was saying. Like, you kind of need like a functional if you want like if you want to be seen or like noticed and have like a lot of people examine your pieces up close. I mean, catering to like the high end pipe theme is definitely like the best way to do that.
So do you feel like you're at a spot where you feel very comfortable on the yo-yo design and now you're just focusing on the millie work, or is there a future iteration of the yo-yo?
So I'm not really doing any more yo-yos like the one John has there.
There we go. That was the word on the street. We weren't sure if that was real or not, so I'm glad you came out and stamped it yourself. So is that no more solos and collabs, or is it just solos?
No, so like obviously there's gonna be some like epic collabs.
Of course.
When the trips happen, they happen, and I'm definitely not gonna say no to that.
Okay.
I have to consider like what the scale is, because obviously, if that was like a general rule, there could still be like 1,000 yo-yos, you know.
Right.
But it'll be pretty select. I'm thinking, you know, and like years, like a good year between them, you know, at least, and that's. Yeah,
that's exciting, man. You got a gem here. Lock that bad boy in. Your value skyrocketing on the podcast.
Well,
exactly, and that was like a big reason to do it too. I was like, I did do a lot. And the way that I want them to be looked at, it's not like a run you can just keep going with, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why I think that the Sprite designs, the Sprite bottle stuff, like the recycling in general is like just a cool idea to run with, but I think it also like frees you up to be a little bit more flexible in your market. I think a lot of artists like hit a ceiling and then they kind of panic and they're like, where does it go from here? What do I do? And you've like split sideways in a couple directions with the new design and these other like forms you've been popping out is sick to see.
Let's touch on the collab point that you just made. One of our favorite questions is what is a future collab that you're most looking forward to?
Or a dream collab. What's a dream collab for you?
Yeah, let's get them both in there.
I mean, you're asking me a hard one, but also like not really. Obviously, I'd love to make a trip to Japan.
Oh,
That'd be a cool one.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And I think like the reason it's like more of like a dream collab is because I obviously haven't talked to them very much. They're part like there's a lot of distance there, you know.
There's a lot of distance there for sure.
And I've made some contacts, but things move slow in my world, which like I'm super happy with. So it's not I don't foresee it super soon, you know. But just about every other collab I've like ever aspired to do has been, you know, like throwing on the table. But once again, things move like super slow.
Of course.
I think it's good. That's part of like
Yeah.
what supports your market really is you seem to have like let most things happen organically and just like been riding the wave really.
What's really nice too is Japan's open now. You know, like a lot of during the COVID, a lot of the stuff prep was sent back and forth.
Yeah.
Elbow really busted that door wide open. He's been over there a lot over in Japan. I think that it'll be really cool to see the magic that could be happening if you were over there in person with all those guys. You know, just a full team Japan collab yo-yo plus the individual. You know, the Yoshi yo-yo.
You're really manifesting right
I'm
now.
putting it all out there,
It's
dude.
like-
These are crazy. This is awesome. I didn't even think about this
I
stuff.
agree.
Like, that's what it's all about. Just putting the magic out there. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And I wanted to go back to something that you had brought up earlier about the millie stuff. You know, is that like been kind of your core focus? Like, has that been the thing that like drives you, gets you up and gets you in the studio every day is like the millie work? Because that's really where I had caught on to your work initially was what you were doing in the millie spectrum was like mind blowing from day one that I saw you. And even still, what you've been pushing out, the one that you had showed us before when we were setting up is like, you know, I haven't seen a lot of guys taking it that far. And I want to touch on a couple other things too with the millie, but what's your favorite part about blowing glass? Like what gets you most stoked?
Yeah, so I'd say like it changes every day, you know, and that's the other reason to have like 15 things on the
The
stove at
ADHD
once.
brain of a
It's
glass
like,
blower. Yeah, we get it.
Exactly. So that's my like ticker table over there. You know, I wake up and I look through it. You know, kind of decide what I'm gonna work on. I think the millie is really cool because you can do like a bunch of different patterns that you can't really do any other way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do like the whole traditional. I forget what they call it. When you just build it in the flame. It's fun for me. It's like it's fun to approach it from the other angle. And at first it was like a workaround, and then I was like, damn, you can do quite a bit of shit that like hasn't been explored in depth yet.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like not even like pushing things. It's just like try. Like I don't know. I always did things a little bit different, and it was funny because at first it was funny. A couple of like artists, you know, go, girl, what the fuck? What sort of flame are you using? You know, and like a year later, they were like, don't. I'm glad you didn't listen to me. Like fucking. And I mean, it's like that sort of shit, and like it's a lot of the reason that like people ask me like who the fuck inspires me, and I'm like that's kind of like it's like everyone and no one. Because you're trying to like you like
push the limits, but find your own lane
on your own, right? Yeah. And it doesn't even feel like pushing the limits when you're doing it. You know, it feels like just like the next step. You're like, damn, you could do this with it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you could do this with it, and then like it's like to me it makes so logical sense. You know, I'm like doesn't feel like pushing it. It's just different from what people have done.
Gabe, you said something that actually reminds me of a question that was asked to us earlier to get on here on the podcast. You mentioned your tinkering table. Now, when you come up with new designs, is it through the process of tinkering with something and then you find it, or do you have the idea before you go to that tinkering table with what you want to do? More or less, are you finding and discovering things through tinkering, or do you have the ideas already and you go to that tinker table and then you mess and try to make it happen?
Oh, I'd say probably usually the tinkering leads to things. Yeah. Like it's kind of like playing with Legos type shit.
Definitely.
But I remember like the whole checkerboard, fitting tubing inside of tubing to make a checkerboard. That just happened through I had a bunch of tubes, you know, and I was like stacking them up, and I put like two inside of each other, and I was like, oh, no way, you just do a whole bunch of these.
Yeah.
And it would make a checkerboard. So usually like shit comes pretty naturally. It's funny, a lot of like good ideas come from just like friends and jokes. Like, yeah, I mean, and they'll be like, ha, that would be funny. And I'm like, wait, that's actually like a really good idea.
Is that how the microwave tech came out? Like someone's like, just put that shit in a microwave and maybe your millie will be fucking fire.
It was definitely a technique that other people were using beforehand.
Yeah, how'd you come across
I was curious
that?
where that came about for you.
Well, I mean, like, Yeah, obviously. Like Shelbo's been repping it for a while. And
Sure
he's
has.
still repping it. And like whatever is clever,
Mm-hmm.
reps it pretty hard.
100%.
But if you want to get like the full word on it, it just like go.
Lay it, give it to us.
Go buy a fusing kiln. Scott makes some really good small fusing kilns. And like I bought a microwave, and like you want to fucking insulate the inside with like ceramic fiber. You know, you got to get like a little thing to go inside the microwave to make your shit hot. You know, so like you're just like you only have a little bit of room, and you're like to properly outfit it. It's all just like such a tight squeeze. And the best way to like see if like with the fusing stuff, it's like looking at it is how you determine if it's done. And you gotta open a door, slide a fucking hella hot project out, look at it.
It's like a 30-minute microwave cycle, right?
Exactly,
or longer.
Yeah. And like I'd probably put like, you know, a few $100 into trying to deck out the microwave. And like I didn't even make the super baller one. I like spent a bunch of like $500 on like all these like materials and like like the materials to make a super pimped out microwave.
So
and like
funny.
and then extend out like the insert for it was extra large too. And
Cool.
then I like looked up this gut firebox, and it was like it's like $900.
Did you get that original microwave from the homie, Chris? Who gave you that original
he put up
one?
a post
Yeah, you
like
put up a
someone
story
give
post.
me who's got a
Woodward.
microwave?
What's
Farley.
Hell yeah.
Farley. Oh yeah,
Farley.
shout out to
I
Farley.
I still owe him a little chip for the microwave. Yeah,
Good
There you
reminder.
go. Yeah, it's solidified here now.
Yeah. But that's sick. I know like a lot of people from the collector realm, you kind of mentioned like the two sides to that coin. I think when people saw a little look into the process and they're like, oh, this is what he's doing, I feel like it was split 50-50. Like a lot of people were like, oh, that's like, you know, shortcutting it, or it's not the traditional technique, yada, yada, yada. And when you finally assembled that full functional, that was like majority microwave millie, people were like, oh, this is like undeniably clean. Like the final result is like
that one
incredible.
was with Chris, right?
Yeah.
That was the first like full functional. Yeah, because I gave sections to AKM prior to that, but it took them a little while to get that piece done. So the one with Chris, ended up coming out first, and it was really clean. Damn, I don't even know if I've like shared that one on my page. I should probably do that.
I don't think so, but I did. I saw it somewhere else.
You're
I was
hip.
digging for other
Yeah.
photos
You're hip.
online. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't really give a fuck. It's out there.
No,
Yeah.
that's like, man, with the amount of time that you spend behind a torch, like it's just not worth it to be like trying to go viral and some of these other things. Like the amount of time on Instagram, we even talked about it before we started. It's like a relief to not have to look at your phone and like to just fall into your flow and to like be cranking and creating.
I want to switch paces
absolutely.
a little bit over to your Explore show. You went out to explore. You went out to Colorado, and you did some really badass collabs. You did that Avatar one where you meshed your function with the Avatar function, and then also at that same show, you got together with your shopmate Jordan, and you guys did like a PC yo-yo. You know where.
Yep.
What brought the ideas to just combine the yo-yo function with their designs? You know, what came together and it's like, yo, let's fucking do this.
That's a true collab in my mind. Combining function.
Yeah, I mean
and
that's like
form.
it's like a fusion design. I mean, yeah, it's like the coolest thing you can do. They're probably just like the hardest to come up with, especially like the super techie one, like the vibe one. That one was a fucking thinker.
Insane, bro.
But yeah, like they're the most fun, and they're probably like the least common, because usually they require like in person, because
Of course.
it's like back and forth throughout the process. That's probably like the biggest reason that you don't see them a lot. Is it's just like you have
to build in them together,
like handling each other's work. Yeah.
right?
All day. Yeah, I mean that was definitely like
Whose design do you think
a
you could?
highlight of the year.
Who do you think you can function and whose design can you fuse the function with next? Who's somebody that you think like, wow, it would actually be pretty badass if we put these things together?
Floor perk yo-yo.
Dude, I think all that shit kind of comes naturally. Like
It would.
I feel like I tell people when they try and like when they ask about collabs and stuff, and I'm like, dude, like it'll happen. It like
Right.
the ideal will cometh, and that it'll need to get done.
Floor perk yo-yo, Incycler yo-yo. We're just gonna put them all out there in the world. Those are gonna be some crazy.
Yeah.
That
crazy,
avatar
crazy.
build was nuts, honestly.
Insane,
Because
bro.
from the
I think-
one
I
profile,
think-
you couldn't even tell that it was in there. It was just nestled up in the piece.
Yeah.
Sick.
I think like the avatar one is like pretty similar to like what a yo-yo is and how it functions. So that one wasn't quite as hard.
Mhm.
We did have to figure out how to like make it fit the starship profile, which is super fun. I mean, it doesn't look like a yo-yo at all.
Right,
But it is
right.
like a pretty basic yo-yo.
It's
in
like a
there.
mini
Right.
yo-yo in there. I got the
Yeah,
chance
little
to
mini
rip
with,
that
like,
one.
a
I
different
love that
neck,
one.
Yeah, and like side trains.
And the aesthetics are
um,
perfect. Like it's a nice
Yeah.
pipe.
Yeah, it fits
Yeah.
perfect. And was
Very
that your
nice
first
one.
time at
Yeah, one of my
Everdream?
favorites. Very pretty. It was, and I haven't been back there yet. It's because like just everything takes so much time. So like all my trips are a significant amount of time. Like
Right.
my ideal collab is like 11 days for a piece, which is a lot of time. And then like if you got like 4 people right there, it's like a month and a half. You know.
Would the 11 days be just a piece, or would that be like all the accessories too? Like, are you blocking that 11? Like, if we're doing a collab?
No, well, so like it depends how hard I'm crushing. Like I used to crush harder than I did too. Like on the come up, I think that's probably where it matters like the most too.
Sure.
But like probably work too hard for what is healthy. You know, like I fell asleep on my stool. You know, and, like fell off my fucking feet in the shop a couple times. Feel like that.
Put in the hours.
I remember
a little delirious. And so those I could crush like a piece out every like big crush is like. It's like 3 to 5 days. 5 days is like not unhealthy, but like from the second you get up to the second, like there's no like breaks. But you know, you're like, what are you working on? What are you working on? That'd be like 5 days. 3 days is like 24-hour crushes at a time. So you know, 24 to 30-hour crush.
Yeah.
Some of them happened in that, and some of the nice ones have happened in that, and some of the ones that I'm like, I wish some. You know, you never know like how they're gonna turn out.
Have you had any horror stories? Any horror collabs where you guys had to come in the 10th hour and fix something, or maybe you had to rebuild the whole piece?
Ooh.
Nah, a lot of buzzer beaters, but no
Perfect.
No full piece rebuild. Well, like so, like the Matt A collab. That was the only one that that was the only one that I had like the base crack like before the show, and it didn't make the show. And that one ended up needing a whole rebuild anyway because it was like the slugger bars. You know, they're a waste of time. Other than this millie, might be sick, but.
I remember
Slugger bars are
texting
trash.
you. I was in line for like 5 hours at the Min show, and I was like, bro, are you going to make it on time? I was like, are you coming? You're like, yeah, it's still hot. You're like, bring it in like a hot potato. Same thing with the Everdream collab, too. I remember the feedback
with
from those
Avatar.
guys. They were like, dude, that young gun crushes.
Yeah, dude, you got so much good
It's
energy
not
and
easy
good vibes
to
spoken about
impress
you.
those guys. They've seen a lot around the block. And the ski mask.
Yeah.
The ski mask got a lot of laughs.
What's
What is
up with
the
the ski
story
mask?
behind
Yeah,
the
there
ski
you go.
mask? I know a little bit of the background, but for the people.
Well, I just like sunburn super easily, and I'm not a huge fan of like putting on sunscreen all day, every day. Yeah, so wear a ski mask, and honestly, it's not that much hotter. It's pretty nice.
So is it the equivalent of sunburn then off the torch,
Yeah,
like blowback,
'cause
or?
there's like UV flare.
Oh
That's why you
wow!
wear like if I wear like shade 5 UV glasses. I think it's just my genetics, honestly. Some genetics are like more susceptible to the UV. And yeah, I would fall into that category. Like I also noticed like my eyes, I think technically you're supposed to like shade 5 is like what like scientifically you're supposed to have to not like harm your eyes using any color, like looking
Nice.
at the flares.
Nice.
And people still get away with using like just 0 shade videos
Yeah, that's crazy
their
to
whole
me.
life, you know? And I did like shade 3 or 4 for like a year, and I started seeing like little
Dots
fucking
and
like
shit.
cataracts and black
Yeah, you're
dots.
like, that's
noticed,
not
like,
it.
a decline. Yeah. So
Same
like, I
here.
wear like shade 5 all the time.
Smart.
And yeah, I mean, it'd be the same. Like my eyes are sensitive, my skin's sensitive, so just wear a ski mask all the time.
That's
And, yeah,
crazy
it's
though.
like
I thought it was just like
Yeah.
the heat or the torch burn. Like I didn't realize the UV, aspect to it.
I mean, I think it's like a whole combination of
Yeah,
all of it,
definitely.
but yeah, it's like you do get like sunburn from it, Yeah, I know some home. Like a lot of people just wear like sunscreen, but I never like that.
Yeah,
I've
dude, I
seen
feel that.
AKM after he pulled down like a huge fucking millie pull, and his like arms are all red, his face is all red. It looks gnarly.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
working
And I
some
still get a
hot
little bit
fucking glass,
sunburnt.
bro. Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking a little peachy.
Yeah, that's that big old stick stack yesterday. And I was like, yeah, it's fucking. I mean, it's very a lot of radiant heat. Trying to stand a few feet away, you know.
Going on to the marble front, I know marbles have been a little bit of a wave. It looks like you've been experimenting quite a bit with marbles. What has been what's been your fun? You started doing some crazy shit. I know O'Neill came into town. You guys started chip stacking and everything. What's been your experience with this whole fun of the marble world?
I mean, it seems pretty endless too. I think like what changes the approach that I take a lot from like what most people want to do is just like the amount of cold working.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it's like half our shop space is cold working, and that's about how much. At least 50% of my time probably is spent cold working, and you can just do a lot of shit that you haven't seen done a lot. It's been a ton of fun working with some different artists, and the stuff with like O'Neill was unique. I've been like thinking about those the flipped axis ring marbles. You know, I've been calling them the angel marbles, the biblically accurate angel. But those are what I want to do more of. But it's just a ton of sleeving. And they don't all work.
And is a lot of that self-taught too? You know, do you find yourself like having the ability to look at other people's work and you're like dissecting it with your mind? And like, I don't know, whose work fascinates you the most?
Me and J-Fel were talking about the rings one day.
Yeah.
And doing like multiple rings to create a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, like, I mean, I don't know. I was like, dude, these fucking rings back and forth over each other. I was like, that'd be cool, but not possible. And Jordan was like, nah, it's definitely possible. And I was like, huh? So then I started thinking about it, and the next day I had it like figured out, and I was like, holy shit.
It is possible.
Definitely run one of these up.
That's honestly like what I think when I look at John Bridges' work and how he like intersects some of his like circles in there.
Unbelievable marble work.
Is like,
Black
really
fire
cool.
glass.
Definitely.
Which of the marble collabs that you've done, I know more recently you've done a little bit more collabs on marbles. Which of the marble collabs that you've done are you most excited about?
Or did you learn something from?
Yeah, I guess, like the recent ones with O'Neill, the Quest one that I just finished up was actually, it was like the Quest and O'Neill are really my only two people that I've like seshed the marbles with, and both super enjoyable. I had like Quest's energy and his attitude.
His energy is fantastic.
Yeah, love Johnny.
Exactly. I mean, he's one of my favorite people to work with and spend time with. So that was a blast. Obviously, I mean, we made like a honker. It was funny because that wasn't the original plan. You know, we were gonna make like functionals, kind of classic collab style.
Yep.
And then we got wrapped up in like a whole week-long marble at least. And
just going back and forth.
It's like 6 layers.
Hot potato of a marble.
Yeah. So that one was epic. And then I had part of a collab, part of another one that I gizzled, you know, and I brought that one with me, you know, and then that ended up sitting on the bench for a super long time. It was funny because I told him I wasn't going to do that, but like I was like out of the millie, and I needed one slice, you know, so it took like 6 months, but I got around to building a whole new millie, you know, which required like pulling new stick stacks and stuff, you know, from the ground up. I was out of like everything. But it turned out super cool.
Definitely.
And so that one's the one that just got released or whatever.
Your marbles for like the past 5 years have been some of my favorites, especially with the millie floaters that you put in there, and the one that you made for me where you like injected the tangy in the middle in the core. It's like
that one is cool.
I never imagined getting that.
It's one of my favorites ever.
Oh
yeah, it sets insane.
The blue with the black lines in there. Yeah,
so beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've come a long way since the beginning, Gabe. Do your parents approve of your glass blowing now?
Oh, they're so stoked. Yeah, I mean, like they like ever since like we were old enough to like smoke weed, and they didn't really care about it. Like we like smoked with them. It's not like they're a super big thing, but like my mom smokes every once in a while.
Oh,
there we go.
I give them,
Awesome.
edibles and stuff. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
I definitely do the same for my dad, but he doesn't enjoy it quite as much. But yeah, it's been fun. Like the whole family definitely embraces it. It's super stoked.
Do they have any of your pipes?
Are both like, that they haven't. They don't smoke hash or like fucking concentrates of any sort.
Sure.
But even like weed pipes. I mean, I gave my dad, I guess he has like a couple of my hand pipes, just like fucking spoons and shit.
Let's tell you.
Yeah, I should give my mom one.
You've been pushing the limits a little bit, I feel like, with your spoons, kind of taking a yo-yo-esque design to the spoon. What's your ideas behind that? Is it to get the smoke to function in a similar...
You mean like the dry rig?
The dries.
That's a dry rig, yeah,
the dries.
You could use it with a bowl, I guess, right?
No, I mean, it was funny because like B grade, Sam, the homie Sam, had brought up like
Shout out B grade.
a dry rig with plumbing. Yeah, B grade that bit. Also Min's pipe show. But he had brought up like a dry rig with plumbing years ago, or somebody in that group of friends was like, "Yo, Gabe, what about a dry pipe with plumbing?" And I was like, "What the fuck is that? I don't really understand it." And I made like a number of little dry pipes, like that looked like a Sherlock, just like with the doer, you know. And people are like, "I'm getting hashy teeth," you know, and fucking. It leaves a lot to be desired, you know. Like it's not like the best hit, you know. So that's why they're uncommon.
Yep.
And then like years later, after my the sourdough show with Sam in San Francisco, I got to like use like one of the Basso has done like a dry rig that has like interior plumbing, and it was like really nice. I have like fucking slurpers and big old sort of shit like that will like induce asthma and stuff.
Sure.
I've always been like allergic to pollen, and so I mean like it makes enough sense to me. But it was it didn't really affect me using it, you know, and I got to like I fucking ripped a slurper like 4 or 5 times back to back.
And you're like, whoa.
And Izzy, my girl, my girlfriend was like, I don't know, I was just I was raving to her about like I was like, holy shit, like I was like, I don't know if this is like placebo or if I was like really one of the smoothest fucking rips that I've ever hit. Like I was like, I need one of these at least for myself because it brought back like the enjoyment for smoking. Like if it wasn't like I was like fucking having trouble breathing for 5 minutes after my dab.
So do you use that now?
Yeah, dude, I use them like all the time. I got 2 of them on the table. That was
I like that.
Original.
That's a fact.
So you're waterless. You're anti-water right now.
Pretty much. I have been ripping this one now. This is like the V2 yo-yo. You know the next one. That's
yeah,
Can we get a little function on that?
Yeah, let's see that function.
Dump on it.
I should just smoke it. I'll smoke it for you.
Yeah, smoke
let's
it.
Go. I see Jordan blowing down clouds behind you. Oh, nice.
Look at that thing going.
Yeah. And they go in opposing directions, which is super fun.
I love that.
What gave you the idea
like,
for this one?
I've had the idea for years, but it requires like the yo-yo like John has is not sealed in the middle. You know, the chambers are technically all one, and that doesn't affect it because the water's all moving in the same direction. But to like
have the waters moving
one going in opposite directions, technically they need to be sealed completely apart. And that's something I did like accidentally a few years ago, and I was like, holy shit! So I can do this, but like doing it as an accident and intentionally are
two different things. Yep.
So yeah, I let the skill catch up while I was like dialing everything in, you know, and then I made the dries, which was like the first sealed chambers, you know. So that's they're a little maze in there. The smoke has to go all the way around one channel, then into the middle, and then all the way around the other channel, and that's like the same core design.
It's like traveling a full like 12 inches by the time it reaches your lips.
Inside
like,
there.
That's literally Basso's design. Like it's just reformulated, and that was a super fun little fucking problem to solve in my head. You know, like I saw his piece and I was like, I know somewhere in the yo-yo lies this exact thing.
Right, I can do this. So
I thought about it for a couple days, and I was like, holy shit, got it.
is this on the front burner or the back burner right now?
Which one, the V2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is, I mean, like, it's been on the back burner for like 2 years. I had a super mid one that I had like thrown together years ago.
Yep.
That was an accidental one. But it just didn't function right, and I knew when I needed to change. Like it had a single layer splash guard rather than a double layer splash guard.
Double's really nice.
It is nice because on these, since there's no water. Oh, where's my fucking camera? This is all
There you go.
disorienting.
Yep. No, you're good. You're good.
Since there's no water traveling in the middle, it's traveling pretty intensely right up on the sides, which means that like a neck coming out right here is just like mega water, you know? It's just spurting up in there all the time.
Yeah, no, it's good to make that super wide.
Yeah. Yeah, and it works really well. And then the other one wasn't completely cut. It was there we go. It was just like a dimple rather than a complete separation, you know? And so like I had air going up the wrong way, which is funny because that's something that I had like experimented with like years ago. And I learned that in order for like a donut to recycle, it doesn't matter which direction the perk is headed, or if you cut part of the yo-yo and add a whole bunch like resistance on one side and open on the other, you know, no matter how like you try and sway the water, unless it's got a complete separation, it's not going to go in one direction around a circle. And it was silly because I did that same shit on the V2, and I was like, I hit it, and I was like, why the fuck did I do that?
I did the same damn thing. Do you feel like this one's dialed in? Like, do you feel like this is almost ready?
Yeah.
It's almost ready for
sure.
production?
I mean,
yeah, take a dab. We're here for it. We're here for a dab. Yeah.
I forgot a torch, or I would be ripping my yo-yo right now.
You know?
Yeah, we can see. That's perfect height for us.
And we can hear.
Cool. We can hear. It's exciting, man. It's exciting seeing the new work. It's exciting seeing, you know, things starting to come to life. And obviously the world's been a-buzzing about the yo-yo, so it's cool to see some, you know, everyone's like, what's next? And it's really hard to come after such a banger like the yo-yo with something that's also going to be another banger. You know, I think that's one of the hardest things, to keep designing something that's going to hit and that's also going to hit with our market, because our market can be finicky. And if you make something that people don't like, they'll throw you away, you know, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
from a lot of the artists we've talked to, it's like a delicate balance of making what you want and pushing forward while
versus
also
what the people
satisfying the masses.
Yeah.
And was the double, is it a Maria up there? Is that what you call it on the top?
What's up?
What would you call it?
Just like the splash guard?
The double splash guard? Is that something like that was inspired or feedback from collectors? Is that from like working with other artists?
I just, I hit the first one and I was like, damn, this is not going to work.
Need one more.
I would say Boro Ben is definitely the one that I like. Ben, I'm forgetting his last name.
Yeah,
Ben Bosco. Yeah, from Minneapolis too. Yeah, he's not too far away. He does like doubles on all of his like inside floating and cycling. And
it's really nice. It's a really nice splash guard with the double.
Yeah.
That's definitely where I'd associate it to. Like, you never know in this like glass space, like where these trends kind of start and end.
Yeah, and I'd say like the need for it isn't quite the same. You know, like I haven't used it enough to like learn exactly from where and why it's like, you know, what direction the water's coming. But this one was like pretty like a specific problem there. It's like a double would solve it. And
you understood. No, that makes sense.
And it definitely did.
Have you done any classes, Gabe? Have you taken any classes?
I've taken a couple. Like I took like an elbow, an avatar one way back. And I took like the Brandon Martin one. And I definitely like learned some things in them, but I'd say like if you're just fucking around with it all day, you learn like just as much, you know.
How would you say someone? I mean, you're one of the newer guys that we have interviewed. How can someone get into it, you know, and you've amassed to stardom so quickly? You know, 6 years, it's crazy. You know, how can someone start to? What would be your advice?
Hold up. One sec.
No problem.
Yeah.
get this
Be careful.
perfect, so I don't
It's
have to
dab
fucking worry
o'clock,
about
baby.
it.
We already know.
Are you gonna make that thing a traveler?
Look at that thing going,
You
man.
keeping that?
John's
No, this
like,
is
let me be
mine.
first.
Let me get that.
Let me be first. Look at the function, though. When
It's
you-
just beautifully symmetrical. I love it.
and you can see no splash. Water's dumping.
It's pretty good. I'm okay with like a little tiny bit, you know, on my personal pieces. I'm always a fan of high water levels.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
What are you smoking on?
Fuck, dude, I don't even know. I'm always running out.
That's
and my
awesome.
girl brings it to me, and then I say, "Oh, I need a gram to hold me over." Oh, that's probably way too hot. Hold up, boys.
You about to hit a fucking spicy one on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full asthma attack.
Oh no, actually, I think we're about perfect.
Dab o'clock, baby. Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Did you make the bubble cap too?
Nah, that's Mark Andrews for sure.
Oh, he's got Mark Andrews on there. Nice. Look at that thing functioning, bro. No splash. That thing is symmetrical as fuck and just dumping.
Yeah, I love it.
It's just dumping.
Yeah, they definitely work.
It
Function.
definitely works. We can
Yes,
confirm
man.
without even hitting it that that thing works.
No, that one also like it's not perfect. That's why it's not for sale. I fucking.
It's still a prototype. You're still early, bro.
In the
I
eyes
was
of the
moving quick. I'm
creator.
moving quick on them.
We are moving super quick. So going back to that question, where would be the best advice for someone just starting out?
Well, it depends where you are. You know, if you have like a place to blow glass,
Okay.
that's where I would say, like, if you haven't fucked with it at all, take some like open torch, you know, or like rent space
Mm-hmm.
and just get yourself into it. But obviously, like if you have done it, well, like is the question geared towards people who are already doing it and want to like get bigger? And like make a
Let's
name for
make it a
themselves?
two-part question. Let's start
Or-
with someone who's never done it before that wants to get in. They say, hey, this guy Renz has been on the torch for 6 years and now he's really doing it to the world. You know, how can someone like that get into it? And then the second part will be how can someone
Yeah.
who's already
Well,
doing
I'd
it
say
get better?
try and locate or like see if there's glass blowing spots, you know, in the town or city that you live. Like here we've got two, you know, like Legacy and Skylab both offer classes and you can rent time there. They're like public studios. I actually like rented for a number of years at Legacy.
Oh, cool.
Like that is pretty affordable, and especially like if you have a job. That's what I was doing for the first number of years. Like first 3 years I was blowing glass. I also had a job at this hardware. And I mean, you got to work really fucking hard, and that'd be like the answer to the number 2 job, which is like if you really want to make it for yourself, like long term, you've got to like figure out how to express like your unique like identity, vision. You know, there are things that are like uniquely you, and you have to do it enough that they naturally come out, you know, and like embrace them in your work is probably like the long term. That is it. Like there's other things you can do. There's a ton of fucking ways to make money. But I don't think, you know, there's a lot of ways to do it. Like you can fucking make production. Like there's people who like rip, you know, other people's designs and sell them for a fraction of the price.
Right.
But it's like, they're all different markets, you know? But what I've tried to do is more the, like, just try and do you, you know? And the things that, like, your ideas that aren't so heavily influenced by other people's ideas, those are, like, what you try and fucking follow.
And a lot of practice, which I'm sure maybe your musician father had inspired you into. Like, you just got to spend time on the instruments, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was, my mom always says it. She says, like, you probably got it from him, but it's very much the same. He played guitar. I mean, like, all day, every day.
That's it, man. It's the grind.
Yeah, very much. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Take some
awesome.
hard work. It wasn't until, like, I'm still figuring out how to, like, turn my ideas into glass. I mean, that's like what keeps the whole thing going, you know?
Right.
And, like what's fun, you know, is like when you come up with an idea and you want to see if there's a way that like you can translate it.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it
awesome.
seems
Well,
like
That
genuinely
didn't
you're
happen until like 4
an
or 5
inventor.
years in, you know, like probably like with the yo-yo, and it's still happening, you know. But that's what it just gets more and more fun, you know, as that becomes possible.
So I feel like we're kind of wrapping towards the end of our interview here, Gabe. This has been awesome. One of the last questions we like to end with is, you know, what is something that people don't know about you that they might want to know about you? Or what's something that's super interesting that you can tell the people that maybe they didn't realize that Renz did this or Renz does that or Renz likes this? So
yeah, enlighten us.
give it to the people. One final thought here.
I mean, that one's hard too. Like I used to do a whole lot of stuff, you know. I used to like have like a whole bunch of pets, turtles, fish. I used to like hunt, paint. I mean, do everything. I like love working on stuff. Yeah, I don't know. There's not like one single thing that I would like to say about myself.
Do you still find time to do that stuff?
No. Oh, so I mean, like that would be like the goal would be to. Glass has been like the type of lucrative to build a future where I can have time to do all that shit. I would love to build a multi-medium shop with like ceramics and welding and woodworking and have have a huge bit of property that you can kind of just do whatever you want on.
Like a complex, an artistic complex,
like
or a compound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. The
where you
Renz
can, like, ride
commune.
your Sorons around the house.
The Renz
fucking, like,
plex.
dirt bike track. Yeah. Design the whole thing super alternatively. You know, like trying
So
to make the whole
sick.
piece like a fucking like. Yeah, it would be such a blast. I mean,
It's my dream too, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jenkins
like,
is pretty
well-
much living it.
Yeah,
is
Jenkins has a
building his
little
compound out in
slice
Hawaii.
of pie out
bro.
in
He's
Hawaii.
doing the damn
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Glass do it for people. I'm like, fuck. So
You're on the right
stick with
track,
it,
bro.
Work hard on this, yeah. And it's like, it is by far, it is satisfying enough to me. You know, like it keeps me happy and intrigued, and I'm like, I'm looking for more. And that's like all I'm looking for, really. You know, I can put aside painting until I'm fucking
Figure that.
Yeah.
like 50
You're
or
set.
whatever. I'm good
Yeah,
with
and then
that,
you're
yeah.
like, all right, let's run it.
Yeah, you're in a small population, a small circle that are able to accomplish what you're able to build out of borosilicate, which is awesome to see.
And just keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, Gabe, any closing thoughts? Anything else you'd like to tell people who are listening? Thank you, everyone who's been listening so far.
No,
It's been an awesome interview, man. Yeah, this has been a good one.
Indeed. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. We're really stoked to get this one out to the people. I know it's going to be a hit. You really poured it out there for us. So thank you so much, man, as always. And we look forward to seeing you next.
Yeah, we got to get out there
Yeah,
and
thank
see
you.
the shop too.
Yeah,
It's looking
absolutely.
awesome in the
Come hang.
background.
Come kick it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Gabe. We appreciate you, bro. And tell Jordan we say
Yeah,
hello.
Appreciate you too.